So I just got off the phone with one of my new clients who's really hesitant to make content because he's always been super anxious on camera when he's went to make content in the past, and he always just postpones it. And this is actually something super common that I see. And so I figured I'd make a video addressing it and explain what is actually happening, what's the psychology going on behind it so that you can understand it, and then incentivize you as to why you need to push past that in order to make content for your brand, because it really is a game changer. So I'll just share bits and pieces of the call that we had so that you can understand exactly how this plays out. Okay, so here's the thing behind that anxiety, and I really want you to not only hear this but understand it. So the problem is not that you don't know how to make content. You know it works, you know it's beneficial for your practice. The problem isn't even that you're bad on camera, because I've seen you. You kill it. You just haven't been on camera enough to know that yet, right? So the real problem is that your brain has spent the last decade being trained to be really precise. Like I totally understand, as a doctor, you guys need to be perfect, right? You go into a procedure and there's literally no room for error. So that level of perfectionism is actually what makes you an incredible dentist, but it's the exact same thing that's keeping you off camera, right? So because your brain equates being imperfect on camera with being incompetent at your job. And those are not the same thing. It's not even close. So here's what I really want you to understand. Your patients don't follow you because you're perfect, right? They follow you because you feel real. I think a lot of the times the general public relates dentists and doctors as these scary people, right? So it's hard to humanize them. But the reason people will follow you on social media is because they can feel like they can trust you, right? They feel like they're able to understand you. And you can't manufacture that from a logo, from your brand. That is just specifically you. So I want to nerd out on this for a second, just because I personally like learning about the psychology of what actually makes this happen. And I want you to really understand this. So there's a concept, and you'll appreciate this as somebody in medicine. It's called the negativity bias, right? So our brains are wired to weigh potential threats way heavier than potential rewards. And Tony Robbins actually talks about this. We do more to avoid threats and avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure. It's literally just wired in our brain. If you were wrong about a predator being in the bushes, you died. So your brain learned to assume the worst case scenario. And when you sit down to film, your brain runs through every single worst case scenario. It's that same kind of primitive instinct that we have. So what if I say something wrong? Or what if a patient sees this and thinks I'm weird or annoying, right? What if it doesn't get any views? And because those feel like real threats in your mind, even though none of them will actually kill you, your brain basically hits the emergency brakes, right? And suddenly you remember you need to reply to that email or reorganize your desk, or literally like anything besides doing the actual content. And that's just being human. So here's what's actually interesting about it. The research on this is actually really clear. The discomfort you feel right before doing something scary, so in this case, doing the content, it's almost always worse than doing the actual thing. So like you just have to turn the camera on and you've already overcome the hardest part, right? Your brain is basically creating a version of reality that doesn't even exist before you do the X thing or the sad thing, the scary thing. So how you overcome it is not necessarily thinking your way out of it. It's just acting your way out of it. There's a concept, and I can't exactly remember the right term, but there's a concept that basically says the more you expose yourself to any given thing that like makes you uncomfortable, the smaller it actually gets. So the first time you actually film something, it feels massive, it feels scary, it feels very intense, but compare that to the 100th time and you forget the camera's even there, right? But you can't get to the 100th time, obviously, without doing it for the first time. So really it gets better, I promise. You just have to get out of your comfort zone at the beginning, and it gets easier and easier as you go. And here's the piece that I think is the most important to really understand, is that confidence is not something you build before doing the thing. Confidence is built by actually doing the thing. So most people are waiting to feel confident before they start, but that's completely backwards, right? So you film your way into being more confident, and you can't just there's no preparation beforehand that you can do. You got to just start doing the thing. So let's bring this back to the practice specifically, because I don't want just to have a lesson on psychology. I want this to actually be applied. So when you start to actually show up consistently on camera, even though you'll have your imperfections, you'll have moments where it feels awkward, it feels cringy, a few things will start to really happen that are hard to replicate any other way, right? So the first thing, you become the most familiar dentists in your market as you show up more consistently. So people don't book with the best doctors. They don't care about who's most qualified on paper. We don't even know how to tell, right? They book with the people they feel like they've already had a relationship with, right? And so that's why video does that so well. That's why social media is so popular for businesses, right? It's so influential for businesses. A patient who's watched 10 of your videos walks into your office already trusting you and already kind of associating with you as the problem solver for whatever problem they're trying to solve, right? And that consultation just gets a whole lot easier. So number 2, case acceptance will go up immediately, right? When patients feel connected to you as a person, they're way more likely to say yes to treatment because they feel like you're not trying to sell them anything. You're just genuinely presenting treatment. And since they already have that connection established with you, this is especially with high ticket cosmetic cases, you're not just selling a procedure anymore, right? You're selling a relationship they've already feel like they're in with you. And number 3, and this one's personal, it really changes how you see yourself. So every time you film something and post it and somebody comments or a patient comes in because of it and they book their appointment, or another dentist reaches out and says, oh, hey, I saw your video, I really liked it, right? Those reps compound significantly. So 6 months from now, you'll be a completely different version of yourself on camera. You'll be more confident, more comfortable, and really able to kind of foster that connection with your viewers. And that version of you, when you're able to be your authentic self, is what attracts a completely different level of patient and the opportunities you'll have with them. So here's what I want to leave you with, Doc. And this is something I give every single client that I work with at this point. I want you to film one video, and I know we don't have a shoot for another month. And here's something I want to practice with or leave some homework with you, right? Before our first shoot, before we do anything, I want you to take your phone every single day, and I want you to just literally, it can be as simple as telling about how your day went, whatever you got done today. We're not going to do a single thing with the video. You're just going to watch the video yourself, and you're going to see how you talk. And the more reps that you can put in, if you could do this 1 or even 2 times a day, even in 30 days or 60 days, you will be so much more comfortable and confident on camera. I think you'll surprise yourself. So that's something I really want you to implement. But honestly, what it comes down to, it's like your willingness to be uncomfortable, right? That's really what it boils down to. Because if you're not willing to put yourself out of your comfort zone, odds are your content probably isn't going to stand out. So, and like this is the same with any skill. Like you got to be able to first suck at it really bad before you can get better and better at it. This is the same thing with dentistry. You got to where you are today with dentistry and the beautiful work that you do because you put in the reps, and the camera is no different, right? Content is the same way. Okay, so if you're a dentist and you were watching that video and thought to yourself, wow, I am kind of in the same boat. I know how important content is, but I always postpone it because of X problem, or things just come up and I get nervous, or yada, 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 right? That's exactly what we help with at GM Media. We don't just build out these content systems. We coach every single client actually how to be comfortable and be themselves on camera so that your content will actually connect with people. And if you want to see exactly how this would work for you in your practice specifically, I'll drop a link in the caption below. Book a time to speak with me and I'll go over exactly what this would look like implemented in your practice.